So, this is old news by this point, but I thought it's worth actually talking about. Weirdly enough, Infold has appeared on an anti-AI sentiment article. Infinity Nikki Love and Deep Space Studio says AI lacks the soul to replace humans as it pushes for human-first development. As AI use in game development becomes more prominent, Infinity Nikki and Love and Deep Space developer Infold Games has pushed back against the technology. Infinity Nikki, an open-world dress-up game, and Love and Deep Space, a mobile gacha dating game, are both filled with high-quality assets lovingly designed by human artists. Both titles have been major hits with players grinding and paying to unlock extremely detailed outfits and other items for their characters. Speaking to IGN Japan, Infold Games CTO Ji Zhang said, explained that AI is definitely rapidly developing, adding that the technology is definitely doing to shape the game industry. Was this article partly written by AI, or does it just have a lot of typos? However, Infold is not in the business of pushing AI art into its games, at least for the foreseeable future. I think now AI is really in an interesting period where everybody thinks of it differently, Zhang said. However, I believe it cannot overcome the fact that it cannot add any soul to content creation, so it cannot replace the jobs of core creators. Zhang explained that the developers at Infold put a lot of efforts into graphics, explaining that one goal is trying to ensure that clothing is very realistic, including physics-based materials and clothing simulation. While Infold's games aren't visually perfect, they do offer much higher fidelity of clothing than most games on the market. On Love and Deep Space, we really focus on facial expressions and the fine-tuning of the characters, he continued. Infinity Nikki, meanwhile, is focused on an open world, which was a new challenge for us. The use of generative AI has been a major topic of controversy between game developers and game consumers. Last year, Baldur's Gate 3 developer Larian Studios was lambasted for use of generative AI during early development on Divinity, with the studio announcing it will no longer use the technology for the remainder of the development. Outside of just video games, Warhammer Company Games Workshop has announced a blanket ban on the use of Gen AI to respect out human creators? Respect out. Who was typing this? Respect our, I imagine. This ban was backed by former Warhammer designer Jervis Johnson, who dubbed the technology the asbestos of the internet, adding that we're going to be spending decades getting this stuff out again after we used it in a lot and found out it's actually a bit rubbish. While generative AI is able to cut costs, players by and large do not want the technology in their games, although exceptions have been for massively successful games like Arc Raiders. For games like Infinity Nikki or Love and Deep Space, titles where players invest in handsome outfits, handsome? Oh, that's my mistake, handmade outfits. The use of generative AI simply doesn't make any sense. The thing that really confuses me about this article is that this is, once again, a bit old now, but this is from previous patch. Nikki's Q&A time messages have the AI cadence. While answering today's Q&A question, which is the first image, I was smacked in the face with the phrasing of Nikki's response. It got two of the major tells, listing things and the "and let's face it, dash dash," which makes me think AI wrote the questions and responses. I went back and scrolled through the previous questions and screenshotted the ones I thought most obviously read with the trademark AI cadence. There wasn't any not X, not Y, just Z, but the last screenshot I took kinda comes close. What do you all think? Do you see it too, or am I just being paranoid? Is it just me that feels sick to my stomach reading stuff with this AI cadence? I hate that we can now tell artificiality from the tone of how something is written. Nikki has used generative AI quite a lot, or at the very least appeared to use it quite a lot. Namely, it came up in translations. Sometimes it came up in web events and promo materials. Sometimes it came up in advertisements, and sometimes it came up in quickly passing art in the game, such as, for example, a book cover that's just like lying as an asset, or like an outro cinematic as it was in 1.8. So I'm very, very confused whether Infold is now trying to commit to no AI in their product, or if they're trying to get the good reputation of committing to no AI in specific parts of the product. Because let's reread the article a little bit. So now if I read it with the idea that they do use AI in some part of their games, however, I believe it cannot overcome the factor that it cannot add any soul to content creation. So it cannot replace the jobs of core creators. Why word it as core creators if you're committing to no AI in your product at all? One goal is trying to ensure that clothing is very realistic, suggesting that this whole conversation is about clothing. On Love and Deep Space, they state we really focus on facial expressions and fine-tuning of the characters. None of this is precisely writing, advertisement materials, or web events. That's not speaking about what core, whatever that means, core developers would be working on. And none of those sections mention, well, writing and web events. That it sounds like to them, these areas are a bit more of an afterthought than clothing graphics and character expressions in Love and Deep Space, is what I'm currently getting from this. What I would love to get from this, specifically, what I would love to get from this is that Infold is going to commit to not using any AI in Infinity Nikki, and look, it's patch 2.5. It sounds like at the very least English translation was definitely done by a person, because they translated jokes and they translated interactions and they made it understandable for the English audience. Therefore, it doesn't really feel like AI. But I'm sitting here going, is Infold appearing in that article a future promise that their games are not gonna have AI in it? Or is Infold appearing in that article is a way to look for positive views and positive eyes on their game? Well, they were very careful about how they word their statements, stating it can't replace core jobs, or we're very interested in clothes physics and character animations in Love and Deep Space. Is the wording like that on purpose? And what we should take from this is that there's not gonna be AI art in purchasable banners, which I hope not. Or are they committing to no AI? Because if you're gonna appear in an anti-AI article, as in you're gonna appear in an article where you're gonna publicly express anti-AI sentiment, I think it would be fair for your clientele to ask that you stop using AI in game development entirely, including your web events, including doing translations, that you're gonna hire a translation team. So I think we should hold Infold accountable going forward. I think that the pushback for if people see any AI in the game should be a lot heavier than it was now, because they do want to get the positive publicity of committing to not having AI in game. So I think if you're gonna do that, you should go the extra mile, or rather the full road expected, and just not have AI in your game. which once again includes machine translation, like hire actual translators, don't generate character interactions, don't generate responses, don't generate graphics that you're gonna be using for web events. Actually have an artist, and it's not like they're not hiring a lot of people. They're hiring Infinity Nikki team is something like what, 1,000 people strong? I'm sure that they can spare some extra cash for that extra polish and extra quality, right? Right, so here's my take. I really wanted to show off the article because to me it just seemed like really weird coming from Infold in particular. Because ever since 1.8, I was all like, oh yeah, and in this patch cycle, people noticed that that's AI, and in this patch cycle, people noticed that that's AI. It got tired to be a broken record, and for them to come out and be like, we're committing to not replacing core developers with AI because human creativity matters, just feels like such a whiplash that now I'm like, okay, if you want to do that, I do expect you to be held to your word. I do expect this to be a point where people put their foot down and go, you want positive publicity, you have to go the full length, the full road. You have to hire humans instead of just getting AI to do the job for you quick and dirty. And if you just want to commit to banners never being AI, then there are plenty of other companies that have done just that. It's just not a very helpful statement because people don't really want AI in their games in general. It reduces the quality of the product that you're using, even if we're avoiding all the environmentalist concerns and data centers invading neighborhoods and taking drinking water and people getting fired from their jobs and replaced by a machine that does the job worse. Even if we like discount all of that, people like their products to be quality products. So I'm gonna hold Infold accountable and be like, if you want people's positive interactions with you based on you promising no AI, I'm gonna hold you to that word. No AI means no AI. So this video is just to bring awareness that this article exists, and perhaps you guys should be doing the same thing. If you noticed AI, do bring it up, do bring up the article, write to support, actually write it in feedback forms. Don't allow them to have their cake and eat it too. If they're taking an anti-AI stance, I'm hoping that this is fully anti-AI humanist approach and not just we don't do AI in the banners. So that's that. Feel free to express your opinions in the comment section down below. Not only do I read the comments, I tend to respond to them very often. Please tell me what you think the article meant. Are they turning a new leaf? Or is this just a way to say we're not doing AI in banners? Because, like, I'm not too sure. Thank you so much for my Patreon supporters. And I hope I'm gonna see you all in my other videos. Toodaloo for now.